Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, the Media Association, MAT, is deeply concerned that journalists are being blocked from covering official ministry events that rely on public funds and state resources. Now, yes, I call them the Kakash media, but at this point in time, the UNC, I'm telling you, is overdoing it in so many different ways. When independent reporters are left out, citizens cannot easily see how their tax money is being spent on how government decisions are being made. And as you think about it, the UNC used to be accusing Emperor Thanos Rowley and the Mighty Morphin Ghanaian Kolpot bicycle PNM of preventing certain journalists from being part of media conferences as well, you know. All righty then. But it's more than just a media conference. This is about different types of events and so forth. Relying only on official statements instead of open press coverage creates a lack of transparency and limits the public's basic right to clear, honest information about what the government is doing. As I said before, we all know that the mainstream media in Trinidad and Tobago, I call them the Kakash media, leans on the PNM side, but the reality is they are justified in their concerns right now, people. Queen Kamala has not been part of a cabinet press conference. Yeah, that is wrong. That is wrong. We would have been condemning Emperor Thanos Rowley for doing so. And yet the UNC supporters are just saying, no, but we all know all the nonsense that the PNM media will be saying, so that is why she avoid. No. You can't hide from the media because they are hostile towards you. If they are asking you absurd questions, tell them that, or ignore the question, of course, if it really is absurd. But you cannot continue to ignore them and hide from them. What the government is doing and what Queen Kamala is doing right now, I am telling you, you're imposing a whole set of PNM taxes, fees, and fines and making it much harder for people. You are taking PNM's policies and making it worse. You're also making our country even more autocratic than the PNM. With these lockdowns, well, not lockdowns, but with these SOEs, which infringes upon the rights of citizens, the privacy in their homes, constitutional rights, and also even those that are arrested and detained. So you're not supposed to be able to hold a person without sufficient evidence for after a certain amount of time. And with the SOE, you can just continue to hold them for a much longer period. And what you're doing is opening up the entire country to a lot of lawsuits in the future. A lot of people are going to win millions of dollars, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know. Just like they did back in 2011. Queen Kamala and her PNM inner circle, I'm telling you, go and watch it for yourself. The individuals in her inner circle, some are actual former PNM ministers, members of the PNM, significant members of the PNM, and others, they were never supporters of the UNC. We never heard them supporting UNC in the past. And yet, Kamala just took these people and made them her closest allies. Utter nonsense is taking place. And she's ensuring that the PNM is going to win the local elections either later this year. Penelope Beckles thinks it's later this year in August. I don't think so. Kamala said and the UNC said that it's next year it will be due. But let's just see. If Penny heard something that we didn't, let's see. Most likely, PNM is going to win most of the corporations back in Trinidad later this year. And definitely, in 2030, UNC is no longer going to be a viable option. I am hoping and praying that Trinidadians will be mature enough by then to vote for a third party, because we can't go back under the Mighty Morphin Ghanaian coal pot. We know for the government tightening your belt, no harm, no macaroni pie PNM either. Mrs. Vidya Gayadeen Gopi Singh joined Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, the Honorable Ravi Ratiram, on a site visit to the Brechin Castle Agro Processing Facility days before its official inaugural last month. During the visit, discussions focused on the direct benefits the facility will bring to farmers, including greater opportunities for value-added production, improved market access, and reduced post-harvest losses. Minister Ratiram also highlighted the facility's potential to strengthen Trinidad and Tobago's agricultural exports by supporting higher quality processing and expanding opportunities for local producers to reach new markets. Now, you see, this is good news, but it's being overshadowed by a lot of nonsense.
So farmers are actually the cornerstone of any agriculture sector or the agriculture industry. What we have is that farmers for over the number of years, they had a glut with produce. Well, let's assume it was tomatoes. You're selling 4 pounds to $20. So if these excess supply were to come into this building here where we're doing the agro processing, then they could go into making tomato ketchup or doing tomato paste, or even excess peppers come into this institution here or this building, and you would do also pepper mash. So it's like a plethora of events could happen here where excess produce from all the farmers, whether it's root crop, whether it's fruits, and whether it's vegetables. We have a place to invite and to have the farmers come into one location where you have what it's called like an accumulation site where all the produce come into this building, and where they are sorted, separated, they go through autoclave, they go to sanitization, and we have a final product which could be used for, as the Honorable Minister said, for export regionally and internationally. So what in fact we are doing is that we are working with the backward and forward linkages in the economy.
Definitely, this is going to be a significant empowerment of the farming community. This is something that I know a lot of farmers are looking forward to, because as you rightfully would have said, Chair, there would have been gluts in the market over the years gone by, causing significant fluctuation in the prices. Sometimes farmers would have abandoned their crops in the field because of that glut, because of the reduced price as the supply and demand
Correct, yes.
scales. So with this facility, it's going to provide a sort of consistent market for our farmers, and also it's going to help us realize our export potential as we work towards increasing our export and using agriculture to earn foreign exchange. The capacity of these equipment here is such that we expect huge volumes to be turned over. We expect a lot of products to be created coming out of these facilities that can be containerized and that can contribute towards our export market.
Trinidad and Tobago weather report for Monday, June 8, 2026. The weather forecast for Monday, June 8, 2026 in Trinidad and Tobago predicts initial cloudy conditions with scattered morning showers giving way to mostly fair, hazy, and breezy conditions by afternoon. The day will experience a maximum temperature of 31 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 24 degrees Celsius with an intense peak heat index reaching up to 35 degrees Celsius. The morning starts mostly cloudy with a 10% to 20% chance of brief lingering showers. The afternoon skies will clear up to become partly sunny and hazy with rain risks minimizing drastically after 2 p.m. Moderate easterly to east-southeast winds will blow between 10 to 45 km per hour, bringing occasional stronger gusts. Expect a moderate humidity level fluctuating between 65% to 90% along with an exceptionally high UV index of 9 during peak daylight hours. Open waters will remain moderate with wave heights ranging from 1.5 meters to 2.0 meters, while sheltered areas will sit near 1.0 meters. According to official updates from the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service, the unstable tropical wave system active over the weekend is expected to break up, leading to a much drier and dustier pattern as the new week begins.
Regional news now. 6 major pieces of legislation were introduced in the National Assembly on Friday in Guyana as the government advances a broad agenda of economic, legal, and governance reforms. Now, that's the thing about it. In Guyana, Irfan Ali continues to do a really exceptional job. Is he perfect? No, but he's doing really well. And that's why people gave him a second term in office. Unlike Queen Kamala and the UNC that is going, I'm telling you, they're going to end up with a landslide defeat in 2030. Among the measures tabled for first reading was the Guyana Development Bank Bill, which seeks to establish a specialized financial institution aimed at expanding access to financing and support for small and medium-sized enterprises serving the people. That is what you're supposed to be doing, Kamala, instead of persecuting them and taxing them with new fees and fines. Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce Susan Rodriguez tabled the Hire Purchase Amendment Bill 2026 and the Security Interests in Movable Property Amendment and Validation Bill 2026. According to the government, the two bills form part of efforts to strengthen Guyana's commercial and financial legislative framework, improve access to credit, and create a more enabling environment for business growth and investment. Jamaica's engineers are contributing to the drafting of road construction standards, currently in proposal form by the state-led standards body aimed at addressing the country's deepening pothole crisis. I wonder if they're going to start using the patching type of policy like what we have here in Trinidad and Tobago. UNC, instead of paving our roads like they used to do a long time, using PNM's patching policy. Terrible what's taking place in so many different ways. The Jamaica Institution of Engineers is involved in a leading way, said President Dr. Baldwin Thorpe in a Financial Gleaner interview. He pointed to the participation of civil engineer David Allen, who chairs the Road Construction Technical Committee, the body responsible for developing the standards, along with JIE past President Dr. Noel Brown and other members. With the involvement of the JIE, the current draft standard specification for road materials has benefited from the input and oversight of the JIE, and it has its full support, Thorpe said. International news now. President Trump maintains that the Iran war fits within his America First doctrine. Asked during an interview whether striking Iran broke his campaign promises related to new wars, Trump argued that preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon is a matter of U.S. national security, and yet you don't want to get the job done, finish the job. Trump, you want to play games with terrorists instead. You don't start something and then don't finish it, Trump. You're wasting time. The president framed the conflict as a move to protect American interests rather than launch a prolonged foreign conflict. But you are the one prolonging it by trying to make deals with terrorists that you know very well for over a year now. Continue to tell you, no, no, no. We are not going to give up our nuclear ambitions. You're wasting time, Trump. Thank God that Israel isn't humbling themselves under your command and power and control. You ain't the king of Israel, Trump. The Israeli Defense Force struck infrastructure used to manufacture raw materials for Iran's missile program at the petrochemical complex in Masha. The Israeli force, acting on precise IDF intelligence, struck several infrastructure sites at the petrochemical in Masha in southwestern Iran. These facilities were used by the armed forces of the Iranian terror regime to produce and export raw materials for weapons production. The targeted infrastructure produced unique materials that serve as critical components for the development of ballistic missiles, which pose a threat to the state of Israel. These are critical components for the production infrastructure supporting the Iranian regime's missile program. The strike joins the series of strikes previously conducted against the complex during Operation Roaring Lion.
Bible quote of the day. John 8:3-11. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and placing her in the midst they said to him, Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say? This they said to test him, that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. And once more he bent down and wrote on the ground. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones, and Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus stood up and said to her, Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? She said, No one, Lord. And Jesus said, Neither do I condemn you, go and from now on sin no more.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.